guys. I'm heading out actually to central Paris, so I thought I would take you along with me. We stop off for some coffee or something at a cafe if I find something, but other than that, it's just going to be a really quick trip to central Paris. So I just wanted to say happy Saturday. So, okay, I'm in the hotel Meurice, I think it's called. It's on Rue Rivoli in Paris. I think there's a cafe in here, so I thought I'd come in and check it out and see whether I like the vibe or not. And then I will, sit down, have some coffee. We can talk. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about today. Um, I kind of wanted to dedicate this video to my father, and he recently went on to the next life. And he was such a he was kind of like my twin, we had the same laugh, we had the same sense of humor. So we got along famously, my father and I. And and he just up sticks and he croaks, he croaks on me. And we always talked about what it would be like if we croaked, him and I. And I said to him, you have to come back and tell me what it's like. And I have to say that the signals are not as strong as I thought they would be, but I definitely feel him. And so today I thought, he and I, spiritually, obviously, would just sort of hang out and go to central Paris. And so I just imagine that he's with me all day today. And here I am in the Hotel Meurice. I don't think I'm going to stay here though. It's very nice, but I think I want to try another place. Hang on a second. Okay, so this is the Mayfair, which is not too far from the Meurice. And I think the Meurice is obviously a lot more glamorous and sort of luxurious, but here it's quieter. And I'm really, really glad that I came down here because I can just sort of sit quietly and we can just have a little talk. So I was talking about my dad. So, he recently died. And so we're still in the process of mourning him, actually. And it's the first time I've had to deal with like death on this close level, obviously. My dad's never died before. So, it's kind of, hello everyone. It's kind of weird, and every day sort of, I look exactly like him, by the way. I look like my father, I've always kind of like, during his life, I always wanted to look like my mother because my mother is obviously more beautiful than my father. But I'm happy that I look like my dad now that, I no longer have him, Anyway, listen. So, um, I digress. I digress. That was like a long intro. So life is going to change, obviously, because, everything's changed. He croaks, everything's changed. I'm not really sure how much longer I'm going to be cruising Paris. Don't tell anybody I said that. It's a secret. But, this could change everything. But in the meantime, I am trying to just enjoy as much of Paris as I possibly can. And here I am, where I am. I'm in a bookstore now. I've left the Mayfair, and I just saw Harry's Spare. Did you see that? I'm looking at all the different books to see if there's anything I want to get. And what I want to talk about today was the fact that I feel like Meghan has been Well, there are two different videos I wanted to do today. Maybe let's stay with the other issue, which is the daddy issue, since I was talking about my own father. And we can talk about Meghan and Harry's relationships with their dads, you know, because obviously they both have some daddy issues, right? I mean, we all have daddy issues, but, some of it is more sort of intense than others. Some of it is more negative than others. Some of it is more sort of, um, you know, traumatic even than others. And I feel like both Harry and Meghan have been completely traumatized by their father, and well, by their father. And so I don't know if you agree that they both have really traumatic daddy issues. Meghan in particular, what her father did to her, once she met the man of her dreams was just so awful, wasn't it? And yeah, I mean, I can't imagine any scenario where my own father could have done something like that to me. I mean, and he and I, my dad and I, we talked about that because he's a big Meghan fan, or was. And I told him very candidly, I mean, if you ever had done something like that to me, I mean, I would just never speak to you again. And and that was my truth. I was always very honest with my father. I'm fatally honest to my detriment sometimes, Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure that both Harry and Meghan both wish that their relationships with their father was was different, you know. I don't think either of them could ever be truly happy, like happy, 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 um, knowing that their relationships with their dads are, what the relationships have become. Relationships obviously take two. There are two sides to every situation, and it takes two to tango, even with your parents. Parents cannot provoke their children to anger. I mean, it says that in the Bible. I mean, you have to respect your parents, but parents do not provoke your children, right, to anger. And I think in this situation with Harry and Meghan, there has been so much provocation. You know, I mean, look, with my own father, I mean, we got along famously. Like, I mean, he's just like, there's nobody like him to me, no man like him, he was such a gentleman, really. But even so, we had our tips, we definitely had our tips, and more so as an adult than when I was a teenager or even in my 20s or something. I mean, one day you realize that your father is not perfect. This day does come, and it came, and I was like, oh my God, it was very traumatic for me to sort of digest that and know what to do with that, and to still maintain that loving relationship with my father. Realizing my father was flawed was a big thing for me. I'm like, oh my God, this man is not perfect, you know. And I think that, we worked through that, and got past that. And, as I said, I mean, no one can replace my father in my heart, obviously. So I come from that vantage point, when I say that it's really sad that both Harry and Meghan, you know, have these daddy issues that are ongoing, and they haven't been able to reach any kind of truce. Truces are two-way streets. You can't reach a truce by yourself. You have to feel heard. You have to feel respected. Even the parent-child relationship can be broken. This is something that I also realized in my own life, with my own father. It's like, my God, I mean, I took for granted so much as a young woman, a teenager, a child. And then I realized as a more of an adult, as I got older, that, you can't even take your relationship with your parents for granted, and they shouldn't take their relationship with their children for granted either. It is a two-way street. Respect is necessary, right? And and that's it. And it can be broken. And I think we see in both Harry and Meghan's case that that's very true. The question is whether either of them will be able to um, pick up the pieces and sort of stitch it back together in any way before their dads pass on or not, Um, my dad and I never really had to stitch anything together. I mean, we've had fights, we've had arguments, but we've never had to stitch anything together because nothing was really broken because it just never got to that point. So where am I now? I'm in Ralph Lauren at Madeleine. Yeah, I was at the other one at the Saint Germain the other day. And it's funny because I've been in Paris for so long and I have never been inside either of these two Ralph Lauren's. And in such rapid succession, I visited both. I love Ralph Lauren actually. I like the style. I like his aesthetic a lot. But I think the Saint Germain store, if you're ever in Paris, is much, 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 much better. That's probably his flagship store anyway. This one's nice, but it's like it pales in comparison to the other Ralph Lauren store. All right, so I digress. So what was I talking about? So I was talking about the daddy issues and, Harry and Meghan, and sort of wondering whether within the lifetimes of their fathers, both of them, that they would ever be able to heal those relationships. I don't think they can heal the relationships on their own. I do think it's a two-way street. And as I said in the video before this one, this is the Madeleine. I want to just go inside this church and just light a candle for my father, if that's okay with everybody. And yeah, but I digress. So with Harry and Meghan and healing these relationships, as I said, it's a two-way street. And in order to heal these relationships, especially Harry's dad, I think so much would have to be said publicly. A condemnation of what the press has done to Harry and Meghan, for example, an apology to Harry and Meghan for what they did to Meghan, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, I don't really believe that that day will ever come where King Charles would ever um, stoop, God forbid, to apologize or to acknowledge his role in the total, disintegration of his relationship with his son, right? I'm inside the Madeleine. It's so beautiful in this church. And, my dad was a big church man, by the way. He was an organist his whole life until he lost his vision. And so my life was spent in the church, in the Catholic Church. And because my dad was always sort of in the church, Saturdays and Sundays, he's in church. Every holy day of obligation, he's in church, and playing the organ and so on. So whenever I'm in the church, I'm reminded of my father and my mother, right? I'm reminded of my parents, but in particular, my father, just because he was an organist, but my mom was often right there with him, right? So Sainte Marie Madeleine. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you are in Paris, so I recommend, if you want to visit beautiful churches with just stunning interiors, I mean, Paris is definitely the place. Although I'm told Rome is even more amazing, but I've never been to Rome. But the Madeleine is, I think, one of the most beautiful churches. And this, of course, is the pipe organ in the Madeleine. So Yeah, it just reminds me of Dad, because this is what he would do. That's, and I told you we're spending the day together, Dad and I, even though I can't see him, I can feel him. And so we're just spending the day together, and I'm sharing it with you because it's funny because I haven't really you know how before someone dies I'm a Caribbean girl, so I mean when people die you're bawling down the church, you are going crazy, you're da 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 da, and I haven't felt that urge. I have just felt happy. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when I imagine him just sitting next to me here, it just makes me smile because I would just remember his smile, and so I just feel his presence. It just makes me feel happy and safe. It's kind of like I feel like he can now be like my guardian angel in a way. Like he's always there with me. And I know how much this kind of stuff, Vivaldi and all this stuff, I mean, this is his domain, this is his vibe. So I can just feel him so much. Anyway, my darlings. So it's kind of like, I hope I'm not like boring you, but like, you know, this video is definitely dedicated to my dad. Let's go to Printemps, you guys. Let's switch up a little bit. And what was I saying about Harry and Meghan? So I was talking about their relationship. See, my dad used to wear hats like this. Anyway, Harry and Meghan, I think, their relationships with their dads are so much more complicated just because of who they are and what happened. And I think, as I was saying, in the case of King Charles and the royal family, they really had a lot to do with how things went down. I mean, the way they treated Meghan, the disrespect of Harry's chosen wife, was something that I think was just really so inappropriate. And I don't think that King Charles would ever apologize because he's too large. He thinks of himself as too large, And it's kind of funny because my dad dying makes me realize how I mean, what is the meaning of life? I mean, what is this? I mean, and I keep asking him, Dad, it's like, what was that? Like, what was that? You're born, you go through all this, and then you die, and that's it. It's like you were never even here except to the people who love you and who remember you always. And I said, but what am I supposed to learn from this? And it's almost like I can hear him saying, that make sure, because my dad was, very young when he had me. So he was only about 22 years old or something like that. And, so I'm like, if I die at your age, I only have about 20 years left, roughly speaking, like, what am I supposed to do at this time? And he's like, just make sure that you do the right things, things that you don't regret, at the end, if every day you try to live that way where you do the right things, you will have no regrets. You'll just be happy in your life, at the end of your life anyway. And so there's that. Now, what does that have to do with Harry and Meghan and their families and their fathers and so on and so forth? I mean, look, it's like, even if you're a king, I think, even if you're a king, you're King Charles, you're King this, you're King that, you're still just a person and you are going to die. There is an end, right? And I mean, and then you're in the earth, and it's almost like you were not even here. In your case, in King Charles's case, okay, he's in the history books and whatever. People will always remember his name. But I mean, look, why die and not fix things with your son? I mean, why die and not simply say, you know what, that was a mistake and I'm sorry, I mean, why die and leave your son feeling like, you know, anything but a smile when he thinks of his father, or his, his family, it's like, I don't know. I don't see a point to it, you guys. Anyway, listen, I'm taking my picture. I look like an inspector, general in this outfit. I mean, there I go in my black outfit, my shooting pants, and my my Inspector General hat. Listen, I'm on the roof of Printemps on the terrace. I usually go to Galleries Lafayette, which I think has a much better view than Printemps. But the Printemps Terrace, which is this, is also very nice if you are ever in Paris. It's on the seventh floor, so why not check it out if you are in town as well. But I think I'm going to end this one here because I feel like I'm rambling on and on about, daddy issues, and I'm not even sure if I've made any coherent point. As I said, I'm dedicating this video to my loving father in memory of my father. And he's like, "What? Go find yourself a husband." I could hear him saying that. He wanted to walk me down the aisle. He never got the chance to do that. I'm so sorry. But now that he's gone, he's like, "Go find yourself a husband. I'm not here anymore." So I'm gonna have to go work on that. Listen, you guys, this is the Louvre. I'm going to just walk around a little bit and then head home. Okay, so see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. I can't get this thing out of the apartment. It's like a buzzing creature that won't leave. I mean, I've never had this problem. I don't know what to do. These are the moments when you need to have a man. This is clearly a man moment. I can't sleep. I can't sleep with this thing in my apartment. Like, I never have my window open after a certain hour, but like, I can't. Do you see it? I don't even see it. Do you even see it? I don't even see it. Do you even see it? It's up here. It's that thing there. Please get out. It buzzes, you guys. Help. Help me, somebody. I think it's gone. Oh my God. I think it's gone.